Investor's Edge with Gary Kaltbaum. Straight talk about you and your money. Now from the BizTalk studios, here is Gary Kaltbaum.
And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. I'm Gary Kaltbaum, your host. Thanks for being with us today. Glad you're here, ladies and gentlemen. Happy that you are listening. It is Thursday, September 26, 2024. I had to look that for 1 second. Hope you're having a good day. Of course, if you are in the panhandle of Florida, the west coast of Florida, and as it goes up into Georgia and kind of turns a little bit left, Hurricane Helene, you're not having a very good day. We hope anybody's listening in the crosshairs. Let me explain hurricanes to you. It doesn't matter if you're poor or wealthy. It doesn't matter whether you're skinny or fat. It doesn't matter whether you're short or tall. It doesn't matter what race, creed, color, gender, denomination you are. Hurricanes have no bias. They will kill you. They will destroy you if you don't err on the side of caution. Let it take down your house and blow up your car. Take care of your life. Get the hell out of the way. This is going to be a juicy one. I believe they're talking category 3 to 4. I have been through a bunch of them. Take care. We here in northeast Orlando are only going to get, I'm going to say 40-mile-an-hour winds with some rain. I will say the west coast of Florida is going to get some. And not the direct hit, but the outer bands. And I can tell you some of these outer bands can be doozies. So take care of yourself. Please. And by the way, this is Investor's Edge. It's serious talk on everything that affects you. We covered the hurricane. That's all we can do on the hurricane. We will discuss the elections, the markets, the economy, your job, your industry, corruption and scams and shams, and anything that else that comes to mind that I think is muy importante to both you and I. Simple as that. And if you do not get this radio show in your city, we'll post it at GaryK.com. We'll also post it on our Twitter feed, which is now X. And if you don't follow us on Twitter, you should. And if you'd like to email me, just be nice. Where do I want to start today? First off, the hurricane, as I mentioned, just get the hell out of the way. And I must tell you, Tallahassee, I know it very well, been there many, many times. Both my sons graduated from Florida State University, and all I'm thinking of right now is the trees. Why do I think of the trees in Tallahassee? Because they got some big gargantuan oaks and others, and I'm just thinking there's going to be a lot of branches and trees down, and please be careful around them. If they hit wires and you walk through water, you will be electrocuted and you will die. If that scares you, I want it to. These are things I know as fact. I've been through many hurricanes. I know what possibly can happen. Tallahassee, take care. I think you got the direct hit here. But the whole panhandle of Florida, all of Florida is getting some. And then it's going to go through Georgia, Tennessee. And the good news is that it weakens. The best news I can tell you about the hurricane, it's moving 16 miles per hour. That's pretty darn fast. If it was going 8, whew, that would not be good news. Next thing I want to talk about. Did you read the news about the New York City mayor being indicted on all kinds of charges? Taking payoffs and bribes and spending and people paying for his upgraded first-class seats and all kinds of other stuff. And, of course, they've come out and defended it. Let me be clear and concise. Of course he did all these things. Of course he did. Do you know why? Because most of these people think they're omnipotent. Nothing can go wrong. I'm the mayor of New York City. But also, the other part of the equation is he happens to be a Democrat. And you have a Democrat Department of Justice. They're not going to come after me. They're only going to go after Republicans. Why are they coming after a Democrat? Well, he pissed off Biden by saying I can't take all these migrants that they're letting in at the border. Is that the reason? Oh, I don't know. But let me be clear and concise. That goes on all the time. The corruption in D.C. is a joke. Go look up the net worth of some of these people that have been in D.C. for 15 years, making $180,000 a year and showing $30 million net worths. Go ahead. Go get the book by Peter Schweitzer, Throw Them All Out. It's an old book, but it'll tell you about the Republicans and Democrats that have used their power to make the big buck. It's been going on for a very long time. Go read about the Pelosi selling a bunch of Visa in the last couple of weeks. And the Department of Justice in the last few days went after Visa, the company. Oh, she didn't know. Go look at the video of 60 Minutes. Many years ago, asking Pelosi, do you think it's a conflict of interest? This is when Visa went public, that you would take all this stock when you have legislation in front of you? Oh, blah, 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 blah. So that continues to go on. And I think with Eric Adams, of course he did it. They have him dead to rights. He just never thought, no, you're not going to do it to me. And then you have the other part of the equation. What did they do? They lowered the bar for all these miscreants. Ilhan Omar, you know, the Marxist that likes capitalism when it's her money, but for our money, she's a Marxist. Do you know her campaign pay her husband's business $2 or $3 million of campaign money? Oh, I have a business, I'm going to give it to my husband, which means I'm paying myself. And they're saying, that's cool. Really? We, the outsiders, do we think that's cool? A campaign paying a husband? No, we don't. But that's going on. And I can list and list and list and list and list. Many others, both parties. Oh well, what can I tell you? Next. So, Kamala Harris did an interview with a lady named Stephanie Ruhle. She's been a business correspondent. I think she's pretty smart. She was one the other day that said, well, you don't need to ask Kamala Harris any questions or deep questions because you're voting against Donald Trump, but she got an interview with Kamala Harris. And may I state for the record, there was one thing I liked about the interview. When Kamala Harris said that Trump, when he left, was the worst job president ever, well, it's a big, fat, juicy lie. She included the COVID shutdown. Duh. Why not lie? That's what we get. The candidate lying. I'm going to lie. I'm going to lie. I'm going to lie. The problem with the interview, it sucked. She did not represent you and I. She represented Harris with easy laid down questions with no follow-ups, except that one thing on Trump. There she finally did an answer. I do want to let you know, I, on Twitter, to Kamala Harris herself, offered $100,000 of my own hard-earned dollars to interview her. And I said respectfully, but tough. Received no answer. I upped it to $200,000 of my hard-earned dollars to give to her favorite charity. And of course, I take the write-off if I can. Hey, that's the legal part of it. If she lets me do an interview, respectfully but tough. And respectfully means I would ask, I would not zing her. I would not put her down. I would ask her direct, specific questions. And when she BS's the public, I will follow up with the facts. No answer on $200,000. And of course, they will never ever grant me an interview. Why would they? Why answer tough questions? Why have somebody interview her that will actually represent you and I and my grandson Reese? Anyway, The interview was laughable, except for that one thing. Next, what I want to cover, and I'm going to go a little out of order because we segue into the markets. Are you ready? Number one, oil stocks trashed again today. And the first job we love here to do is what you should be avoiding. And if you're able to stay out of bear markets at all times, and let me be clear, the Dow and S&P and NASDAQ can skyrocket. But there's always going to be bear markets. There's going to be areas or countries or commodities. Our job is to let you know, and of course you decide. So up next, we'll start with the oils, get into China, everything else under the sun. I'm Gary. This is the one and only Investor's Edge.
Hi, I'm Gary Kaltbaum, host of the nationally syndicated radio show Investor's Edge. We're not just handsome radio people. We manage investors' money for a living, specializing in fee-based discretionary money management. No big commissions, just a fee on the assets that's managed. We also provide a full range of personalized services, including retirement planning, fixed income, and educational needs, all to assist you in achieving your financial goals. Understanding not all individuals have the same needs, we'll carefully evaluate your personal goals to determine a proper investment strategy. If your current approach to investing is not getting you to where you would like to be, call us to make an appointment for a complimentary portfolio review. The number to call is 888-422-5559. That's 888-422-5559. That's 888-422-5559. Investment advisory services offered through Kaltbaum Capital Management.
It's time to switch on the integrator units and get the brain cells working.
You're listening to
Hey, this promises to be fun.
Investor's Edge
The last bastion of quality programming.
with Gary Kaltbaum.
It doesn't get better than this.
Okay. So, can I segue back? Okay, let me segue back. Tomorrow, Benjamin Netanyahu will be speaking at the United Nations. Yesterday, the Iranian slug spoke, and there were no protests. There's going to be a bunch of protests when the head of Israel is speaking. The great democracy Israel is going to get the protests. Israel, the defender of their country, going to get the protests. Israel that has taken in fire, rockets, thousands of them into Israel and did nothing about it, getting the protests. Israel, where 1,200 people were slaughtered and a bunch of people kidnapped, they're getting the protests. I wish there was satellite. I would have 2 words for the protesters, and it ain't happy birthday. We move on. So as I stated, we segue back to the markets. Oils. Bear market. By the way, good news, because if oil's going down, that means oil prices going down. That means that the pump is going down, and that's good news. Not only for you at the pump, but petroleum products will go down in cost, and there's a ton of those. So we're just letting you know we're going to continue to avoid oils. There have been a few pipelines that we said were better and strong, but if there's 500 stocks in a sector and 8 of them are strong and 492 a week, we're not going to buy the 8. So we're just going to start with the oils. Okay. Next. China. So, conundrum. Conundrum. What to do? How to do it? When to do? How much to do? The answer to all is beats the hell out of me. You see, there are moments in time where it's pretty easy. What was a moment in time that we thought was pretty easy? On January 5th, a Friday of this year, we had told you that NVIDIA was tightening up near the highs, 5-month range, and a move above $505 would be a great technical breakout. And since it's the number one stock in the market for technology, and it's a long stretch, a long base, it may be a pretty damn good move. And the next day, unbeknownst the next day, because you just don't know, it broke out. And it gave us a great opportunity, and we made some serious hay in the stock. China. On Tuesday, first off, the China market was drifting higher, but nothing special. And when I mean the China market, there are a bunch of stocks that trade here. Alibaba, for one. How about something called Trip.com, hotel and airline ticketing? I guess it's like an Expedia. Or Baidu. You've heard of that one, right? Which is like internet content, or NetEase. That's interactive gaming community in China. Or JD, symbol JD, which is JD.com. It's a retailer in China. And they were like acting a little bit better, decent relative strength, but no what we call oomph. No what we call a definable uptrend, a definable bull market that we love to exploit. And as I've told you for a very long time, avoid China. And it was the right call, absolutely the right call, because Chinese stocks were in a bearish phase of unknown price and time. You never know when they're going to come out of it. And then there's another component that we've talked about many a time. How do you trust communism? And to be clear, the man who runs the show, Xi, has been looking for more and more control. And he crushed his education stocks for a while. Symbol TAL and EDU both dropped a measly 90%. But then he realized, my popularity now sucks. People are losing their arse. The property market's going to hell in a handbasket. The market stinks. On Tuesday, we came on this show and stated to you, just want to let you know we had a monster move today in the Chinese market. There's an exchange-traded fund, the symbol is FXI, was up huge. But you could not buy it. It gapped up overnight. It closed at one spot, opened at the next spot. Not like NVIDIA when it broke out that day. It actually traded to the breakout. Well, yesterday, it pulled back minor league. And on Tuesday, we told you it's too extended to the upside here. We hope it gives what we call secondary buy points because we thought, as we stated, China's in play. That was the simple thought process. China is in play. And what that simply means to us, it's now off of a void, which we were saying forever, and we'll look for some buying areas, buy points, secondary setups. And secondary setups come from big move up on a gap and then settle down. And not for a day, which it did, but a week or two. Instead, China, which the reason why Tuesday it went like that to the upside because of government coming in and pulling what we call the Bernanke / Powell. And that is, we're going to print the hell out of the yuan, which is their currency, and we're going to blow up everything, meaning, hey, you need money? We're giving it to you. You need property? We're going to give it to you. We're going to backstop this. We're going to backstop that. We're going to inject this amount. And we're going to inject that amount. And that's what Bernanke and Powell did. And you know what happened after Bernanke and Powell injected tons of capital into the system and into the markets? The markets went north. Well, we figured possibly he'd be done on Tuesday because I got news for you. That was a bazooka on Tuesday, Monday night. Well, up next, what did they do last night? I'm Gary. This is the one and only Investor's Edge.
Listening to
America is talking.
Investor's Edge.
He's got to be pleased with that. The crowd is just on its feet here. He's a Cinderella boy.
With Gary Kaltbaum.
Comes highly recommended. You're going to feel better if you talk to him.
So, overnight, China added a crap load to what they did on Monday night going into Tuesday. And guess what? The FXI, that ETF that popped up on Tuesday, was up another 8% today on another gap. For the week, it's up 17%. That is an exchange-traded fund for a country is up 17%, all basically on two gaps to the upside, with a little extra during the day. Alibaba, our favorite name, is up 19% this week. Mind you, it closed at 105. The high was 319 in October of 2020, to give you an idea how bad it's been. Alibaba up 10% today. By the way, most of it on a gap. You could not buy in between. The JD.com up 14% on a gap. Tencent up 9%. By the way, internet mobile services and Tencent, blah, blah, blah. But that's not all that is involved with China. As we have stated to you, very much a commodity-based country, not company. What other area were we telling you to avoid coming into this week? Most commodities. Do you know why? They were in a bearish phase. With China making that move, let me throw you some out to you. BHP up 13% this week. Rio Tinto up 11% this week. Freeport-McMoRan, copper and gold up 16% this week. Shall I continue? So you also have that going on. Southern Copper up 16% this week. So it brought along not only Chinese stocks, but what also in sympathy, the commodities. But not even done. Caterpillar, what do? Mining equipment, a crap load of it. That's a mega cap in the Dow. It's up 6% this week. That's a big move. So it's taking along that. I have no idea how long it lasts or how far it goes. What I do know is it's now even more stretched and extended to the upside, and it leaves somebody like me who's very much the technician on the outside looking in and hoping for a secondary buy point. But dang, if I didn't have it on the first move, which was Tuesday, I certainly don't have it on this move, which is Thursday. And the FXI, which is that exchange traded fund, to give you an idea how stretched it is, closed around $32 today. The 50-day moving average is at 26. That's stretched and extended on a near-term basis. Alibaba closed at 105. The 50-day moving average is at 82. And just so you know, always, eventually, price will touch back that 50-day moving average. You just don't know where. And I can tell you the 50-day moving average will turn up and turn up very quickly to account for these moves. But dang, for me, it's so darn out of range, and I'm so depressed about it. And you know, I am introspective. We write notes in our little book right here. On Tuesday, I wrote down to make sure there's no way I can buy this area, though we know it's woke up. And why can't we buy this area? Because normal pullbacks on Tuesday's move could have taken things down 10% and still look good. And we have no interest in losing 10% on pullbacks. Instead, China threw in, I think it was another couple of $100 billion into the system yesterday and promising more. So we're just letting you know, we repeat what we said Tuesday. In play, big way, suspect higher, maybe a lot, but I gotta wait for some pullbacks and some settling down, which takes me to the next part of the equation. David Tepper, do you know who he is? Go look up his videos from I'm gonna mention CNBC. I don't mention him often. He was on today. He is the hedge fund manager that when Bernanke started printing like crazy, came out and said, buy it all. And I didn't listen to him back then. And he was 100% right. He knew the printing of money and the massive amounts of money into the system would send the markets skyward. And all I know is China in 2 gaps is up 17% already this week. I have no idea what tomorrow does. All I know is dang, the money flows. Darned if you do, darned if you don't. We'll keep you abreast of the situation. But wow. Do I take any lessons from this? 0. Why? Because you just can't game gaps and government largesse in the size and scope that China is now doing. But we'll try to board the train somewhere, because if this wants to go up, let's say 60%, it's only up 17. That said, I ain't touching it here. And that's all we have on China. We've always said there's government risk. Not so sure there's government risk anymore, as they are going full Jay Powell. The final ultimate outcome of that'll be down the road. And that's our China little thingamabob, talkabob. And again, tomorrow's another day. Oh, and gaming stocks. Las Vegas Sands and Winds have been dead. Big bear markets. Guess what they're doing? Why? They get most of their profits from China. That's Macau, M-A-C-A-U. Go look it up. So there's another little area that's out of the coma on 2 gaps. I forgot about that. And now I think I'm pretty well covered on that little China play. What else do I got for you today? I think that's the big story. The other story was Micron in the aftermarket yesterday. Numbers better than expected. Spending numbers much better than expected. Guess what? The Philadelphia Semiconductor Index was up 178 today. Let's call it 3% plus. They scared the hell out of it early in the day. I can tell you they opened it up really hot. Hit 53.55, up about 220. Took it all the way down to 51.82 to the point it was only up about 50 and got better towards the end of the day. The semiconductors. And that means the Lam Research, the KLA-10 core, things like that. Those are the equipment makers, which, by the way, have been very, very weak. They came on pretty nicely today. And the Philadelphia Semiconductor Index back firmly above the all-important 50-day moving average also. What else? Do you know United Airlines is at new yearly highs? No, really. It was near new yearly lows early August. It's new yearly highs right now. Not making it up. Just let you know, other airlines have been coming on pretty decently. Airlines. Up next, what else in these markets? This is the one and only Investor's Edge.
You're listening to
What are we waiting for?
Well, what are you waiting for?
1, 2, ready, go.
Action!
Investor's Edge with Gary Kaltbaum.
Hey! Welcome once again to Investor's Edge. Thanks for being with us today. China. Stunning. We hate the fact that it's happening because of government injection and not free markets. But as we get older, even the great capitalistic United States has these Morlocks in D.C. that have interfered with everything and anything. Oh well. Fair share. Kamala Harris, Marxist candidate. Gary, Marxist, come on. Yeah, Marxist. What's an economic Marxist? Major deficits, debt, increase in government, and then come after the wallets. Marxist. Control freaks. Regulations, fees, fines, mandates. Marxist. It's very simple. I don't use it as a pejorative, I mean it. She's saying the wealthy do not pay their fair share. The fair share. And I think of my good buddy Neil Cavuto, who always asks that side of the aisle, what is the fair share? How much is the fair share? And they never answer the question. I'd like one of them to give an answer. You know, like there was a time where Bernie Sanders once said, it's still on video out there, that anybody making $1 million a year, every dime above $1 million should be taxed at 100%. I once debated somebody on TV. He wanted 90% tax rate. And I said, above a certain level. I came back and retorted, why would anybody work after getting to that number to where they keep 10% of the earnings and give 90% to the government? He said I wasn't patriotic. I then said, do you pay 90% to the government? He kind of snickered. I then said, you do know on your tax form there is a place to say to pay as much as you want. If you think it should be 90%, go pay 90%. So all I kept hearing in the last couple of days from the interview in Kamala Harris is the fair share. But they don't say what the fair share is. So I'm on with Stuart Varney this morning, and I said, interesting. Why isn't anybody asking the question, what is the government's fair share? What should they have? Because we earn our money, government takes our money. Interesting. Government doesn't earn our money. We give it to them. Government doesn't earn a frickin' penny. They are a Hoover vacuum of our money. So what should be their fair share? Because in case you do not know, in the year 2000, the government spent $1.8 trillion. But yet now, our deficit this year is $2 trillion. What's the fair share? In 2019, the year before COVID, government spent $4.4 trillion. Is that their fair share? I guess not, because this year is going to be $7 trillion, thanks to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and Janet Yellen and the rest of the Morlocks over there. So why is the fair share of the government this year $7 trillion and only a few years ago was 4.4? Where the hell is that money going? So what's government fair share? But Stephanie Ruhle did not ask her because it would put her on the spot. And Kamala Harris will not answer my proposal, $200,000 of my hard-earned money to her favorite charity, for me to ask that simple question. Because if she wants to know or wants to tell us what our fair share is on how much we should pay to them, we would like to know what is their fair share on how much they should spend. And also, since it is we the people, we'd like to know where they're spending it, because we don't know. We're supposed to trust them. We're supposed to have faith in them. So what's their fair share? Oh, and I also blame Mitch McConnell and the Republicans who signed off on the latest joke of a budget deal with $1.8 trillion for the Inflation Reduction Act, where Joe Biden on video has stated there was no inflation reduction in it. Oops, I can't believe I said that. We're supposed to have faith in them? They suck. 35 trillion says so. Headed to 60 trillion says so. Billions of dollars wasted on boondoggles says so. Missing trillions at the Pentagon says so. No accountability says so. And we keep voting in the same clowns. Unfortunately, says so. That all said, have a great evening. Drive carefully. We'll see what China does overnight. And when you get home, do like we do. Quite simple. Make sure you hug your family. Make sure you hug your children. They will feel better. You will feel better. I wish I could have more faith, ladies and gentlemen, but they prove me right every day with their wrongs. Have a great night. Bye-bye.
This has been Investor's Edge with Gary Kaltbaum on BizTalk. To listen to past episodes or to get in contact with Gary, go to GaryK.com. That's GaryK.com.